So, first of all, a little bit about what is coming up today. I'll tell you really quickly a little bit about myself, and then I'll tell you a little bit about social content, what I actually mean by that, and then I'm going to offer 10 tips for basically looking at some trends, some ideas, some bits of inspiration for things that I see, sort of trends that are happening within the industry at the minute. So it's not going to be really in depth, how to do this, how to do that. More just some ideas, inspiration, hopefully some food for thought that you can take away, research a little bit more when you get back to the office, and offer some ideas for your events and meetings. So first of all, about me, I'm a marketer. My background's always been in marketing. I've worked in marketing for over 10 years, various industries, everything from financial services to retail, and probably for the last 6 or 7 years in the event industry. Always focusing in on the digital side of things, and obviously social media over the last few years has become an increasingly large part of that. And I now run Bart Digital. I've been doing that for around 18 months. As I said, working with events to help them develop their social media strategies and social media content during live events. So a little bit about social content. What do I mean when I say social content? Basically what I'm talking about, as it says there, is content specifically developed for and distributed via social media. So we've all got social media platforms, we tweet, we post a lot of stuff. What I'm not really talking about is stuff that already exists. So a lot of events, a lot of companies in general, tweet an awful lot of stuff that isn't necessarily optimized for social media. So that could be a 10-minute long promotional film. Great, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that, but video content that's really sort of specifically developed and designed for social media can help have a lot more impact, a lot more reach, and drive a lot more engagement than, you know, those sort of longer videos, maybe company brochures, PDF files, that sort of stuff that doesn't really work as well through social media. And why is that sort of specific social content really important? Well, content generally is getting increasingly important. I'm sure you're all aware of the sort of trend in marketing generally for content marketing, inbound marketing, and many, I'm sure, have probably seen this graphic. It's been overused in the marketing industry, and I think it's a little bit cliche, but it really is true. Content is king. It's really important for marketing these days. Content marketing alone, I think I read a stat a couple of days ago that last year there was 120 billion spent on content marketing for social media and social video alone. 91% of all business-to-business marketeers are now using content marketing as a key part of their social media strategies. So it really is increasingly important, and for me that content development, particularly social media, is the difference in the event industry from where I see event organisers that are doing a good job or doing an average job on social media. The people who are really standing out, really making it work for them and getting the benefits from that, are the people who are really actively engaging with that content, developing new content, whether that's video, photography, text, whatever it is you want to work with. So, into the tips. 10 tips. The first one is more of a trend, really. It's about real-time content. The previous presentation from Social Dynamite touched on it a little bit. It's about this real-time live coverage of events and from events. Social media has really driven this sort of trend, and before I say any more, I'm just going to show you a really quick video that I think sums up the sort of concept of live content and how social media has influenced that.
María, ¿te quedas por aquí un poquito a la pantalla? Sí, sí, bueno, no, no voy a posicionar para el case el día de hoy.
Sorry, it doesn't look like the video's playing. Just give me 1 second. Does the sound okay, guys? I'm usually used to using microphones okay, yeah? You can all hear okay? Good.
Content used to be created by a small group of people over long periods of time. The morning paper, the 6 o'clock newscast, the top of the hour radio update. This was the way people got their information. But this way is slow, and it's dying. Content creation and the rate that it's being consumed is moving at an accelerated pace. We live in a real-time world, and people want content and information now. So, what's happening? Well, social media has changed the expectations about when content is created, how it's delivered and consumed, and how consumers want to engage with you. It's virtually impossible for an organization using traditional methods to keep up with the rapid pace of change. We live in a fast-moving, real-time world, and consumers want to get their news and information as it unfolds, not in the morning, not at 6 o'clock, not at 11 o'clock. So, how do you give your audience what they need now? It's time to get real about real time.
Okay, sorry that ended a little bit shortly. It was actually a video from a company called Scribble Live that I cut in half. It goes on to advertise a bit about their products and services. But I thought it was just really quick, simple way of summing up the way social media has changed, the way we consume and create content. Scribble Live is a live blogging platform, so the sort of technology you might have seen at big sporting events where there'll be minute-by-minute updates coming from the event. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, definitely check it out. Google Scribble and have a look at what they're doing. But hopefully that sums up this sort of movement I see towards real-time content, events, investing more and more time in it, and it's something I would definitely recommend looking at and trying to bring more of into your events. Exactly how to do that, I will talk a little bit more in some of the other tips, so looking at certain elements of that, whether that's blogging, video, and those sort of things. But that's definitely a big trend that I'm seeing, and seeing a lot of people getting a lot of value out of that. So the second one is social promotion. What do I mean by social promotion? Basically what I'm talking about is investing sort of time and resources and putting effort into making sure all your audiences and people attending your events are really aware of the fact that firstly you're on social media. I guess that's the obvious one, the standard thing that we see a lot on event websites is the little social media icons, so people are aware that you're on the platforms. What seems to be increasing, I'm increasingly seeing, is people not only promoting the fact that they're on those platforms, but it's really trying to go deeper into explaining what the value those sort of platforms can offer to the people who are joining them and part of those communities, and what sort of content is being used, distributed on those sort of platforms. So a couple of examples. This was a great example from London 2012 that I saw. So again, it's taken it a step further than just those social media icons on the website. This is kind of a little social media hub or social media dashboard, as they've called it. And basically what this is doing is pulling in all their social media information, so it's got counts of the followers and number of people in their communities. It's got all the handles, hashtags, it's got a Twitter feed down the side, down the bottom here, we can't see it, but if you were to scroll down, it's got the latest YouTube videos, not only the videos that they're posting, but it's pulling in any videos that other people are posting that are tagged relevantly to London 2012. So again, it's really just pulling in all this information and highlighting to people, look, this is what our social media is about, this is what's happening on there, and hopefully demonstrating the value that people can get out of it from joining those communities and taking part in that sort of stuff. Another interesting example, I saw a cycling event in London. Again, it's just something a little bit different, big visual prompts, really sort of enforcing what, not only the fact that you're on social media, but the actions you want people to take with your social media accounts when you're at events. Obviously that's checking on Facebook. Another trend, this is actually from World Travel Market, an event that some of you might be familiar with, another event organised by Reed Travel Exhibitions. Is this sort of physical presence at events of social media. So no longer is this disconnect between what's happening online and social media sort of stays in the virtual world, and an event happens and elements from that are posted to social media. Really trying to bring the two together. So when I was down at World Travel Market, the team, this sort of little stand was manned by a team, the social media team from the event. So, not only were they sort of running the event's social media, customer service element, generating and posting content from the event, people were able to walk up to the stand, chat to the team, ask some questions, potentially get some tips, but really just give that sort of personal element. You might have people on social media, real sort of brand ambassadors. You might feel like you know them really well, but all year or all through the planning phase of your event, you never actually met these people. Your relationship is purely online with them. So something like this can really offer a great way to kind of actually strengthen those relationships. You meet them face to face, on site at your events. And that's another example of the same thing from something I saw at BlackBerry World a little while ago. Again, it's the same concept of physical, social media desk, hub, some sort of physical presence. Now, a lot of events I know might not be big enough to warrant something like that, but the principles are the same. Whether you've got an event for 50 people, maybe you've got one person dedicated to running social media on site. Make them know. Whether it's a little badge that says, "Hey, I run your social media. Come and chat to me." Whatever it is, it's just about connecting that virtual world with the physical world at your events and giving a bit of personality to your social media channels. Number 3 is cross-platform promotion. What do I mean here? Well, basically, I think social media for a long time has people's opinions towards social media for me was summed up by this sort of graphic. It was a lot of different platforms, and the sort of focus was the same content rehashed in a different format for the different platforms. I don't think that is the case anymore, and I think people realise the niches of each platform. Twitter's more about news, live updates. Facebook's about content, photos, works best for that sort of thing. And people are using the different platforms in different ways, but also what I'm seeing is people starting to use the platform to support each other. So you might have a small meeting or event, and post-event or during the event, a post is put on LinkedIn, a discussion is put on LinkedIn, asking people to discuss the topics that came up in the event in more detail. But also in there might be a link to a photo album on Facebook. Both of the links to both of those things will be posted on Twitter. So people are really starting to use a different platform to support and complement each other and get more out of each of the platforms, using them together, not using them in really sort of siloed ways, this, that and the other. Number 4, event roundups. Again, back to the sort of live content thing we talked about. I'm seeing a lot of people starting to invest time and money into sort of roundups from their event, whether that's at the end of the day, whether that's maybe at lunchtime or certain key points during the event. Some examples of events I've worked with who've done similar things. Again, another Reed exhibition some of you may know, ATM. They spent put a lot of effort into creating these end-of-day blogs, and they, as you can see, included everything from live video that had been shot that day, edited, turned around, and included in their photography. And you know what? They can actually be really simple. A lot of it's about past tensing a lot of the content you already have in the brochures advertising your events, your meetings, or whatever the descriptions of what's going to be happening at your event. A lot of it is just about past tensing that and turning it around and saying this happened today, and adding to a bit of video, a bit of photo. And that can be really valuable. I've seen the events I've worked with on this type of thing, I've seen massive benefits in terms of increasing traffic to the websites during the event. And really you're doing two things. For people who are there, when they're on the way home from the event, they can read this sort of stuff and it cements the value they've got out of the event and think, wow, yeah, I did have a great day, I've learned this, I saw this. But also for people who aren't there, you maybe drive attendance to future editions of your event or on subsequent days, making them think, hey, this is what I missed out on in real time. It can actually affect your event there and then. Another example of a similar thing, this is a platform called Storyfy. I don't know if any of you have heard of Storyfy. Creates a very similar thing to that blog I just showed you, but this is actually quite clever because what this is doing is pulling in content from the web that other people are generating, so it takes the emphasis away from you as a content producer. You can put certain hashtags in, handles, certain mentions, and what this will do will pull together into a nice little blog format for you. All the pictures that have been tweeted, anything that's on Facebook, YouTube videos. You can top and tail it with paragraphs of these guys have done here. But it's a really quick, easy way to pull something like that end-of-day roundup together, but a little less resource intensive on yourself actually producing the content. Number 5, social monitoring. We all know monitoring our social media platforms is important in the run-up to events, during events. It's important to be responsive. We understand that, but I'm seeing more and more effort being put into these areas as well. So, an example here from not technically a event industry example, but it's from an American football team, the Oregon Ducks. So they have an event essentially once a week when one of their big games take place. It's televised. We're talking quite a big scale event here. They've set up kind of what they call a Quack Cave, which is essentially a social media command centre, and it's about really focusing on a team of people being responsible for the social media during that event. So they're doing everything from the customer service element to watching what content is being posted by their communities, retweeting that, reposting that, curating that, sort of managing the whole social media presence. Again, same thing, another reading exhibition there, World Travel Market, same thing at World Travel Market. It's about you know, making sure you've got dedicated resource at your events to this stuff. And I think, as I say, we all know monitoring is important, but what this really does is, you know, pictures like these, actually pictures I've got from these events' social media accounts. So first of all, you're able to sort of post stuff like this and say, look, we're here, there's a team here, we're really dedicated, this stuff's important, engage with us, share stuff, and you know, get involved with social media, but it also highlights to your team that, look, it's really, really important. It gives them the sort of ownership and say, look, this is really important. And again, you might not have the scale of this at your events, but it's about making one person responsible for your social media stuff on site. Number 6, crowdsourced content. I'm going to fly through the last 2, so I'm running out of time. We've only got 10 minutes, but the last couple are shorter. Crowdsourced content, again, like that Storyfy example I showed you, there's a lot of platforms starting to appear that let you put together all this content that is already out there across social media and present it back to your audiences for your benefit. A good example I saw recently was from Chelsea FC, from their Asia footballing tour. This is using an app called Tint that some of you might want to look up, T-I-N-T. And again, what all that's doing is pulling together all the different posts and mentions about that certain subject, presenting it back in this lovely little dashboard that at Chelsea they were to push back to their social communities, encourages others to do the same, get involved, post content. Next one, a bit quick, social video. I think we all know this is a really big trend at the minute. Over the last year we've had the introduction of Vine, which is Twitter's own video app. Instagram has gone to video, and it's a sort of increasingly big trend. And what I'm seeing is events really sort of spending more time thinking about the way they're using video. So the classic meetings and events video production for me, I think it would be, you know, event takes place, you would film it, you produce maybe a 3 or 4 minute lovely little highlights video that goes away, it's edited, it's available 2 months later. And that's great, I'm not saying there isn't a place for that, but as we saw in the video at the start, social media's changed people's expectations, they want stuff now, so you need to meet that expectation, but also you think about the way you're using video, what you're shooting, who you're shooting, shooting maybe people, doing interviews with people with strong social media followings. You can use that to your advantage. So, you know, then you shoot someone with great social media following, you edit that, post that, you know, they're going to retweet that and it's increasing your reach. So it's thinking about the way you shoot video and what you shoot, it's going to work best for you and have the biggest reach through social media. Broadening event social. This is a bit of a trend again. I don't know about you, I used to work in the events industry, and when I was on site at an event, I become very focused on organising that event, delivering that event for the people who are there. Everything stops, I don't watch the news, I forget to ring home. It's all about delivering that event there and then. And unfortunately, I think I've seen quite a bit that kind of focus can impact on people's social media accounts. So that same focus becomes, through the use of social media, becomes just about what's happening there at the event now. It's for the people who are at the event. It's about seminar start times. It's about transport, which is great. And again, you still need all that sort of stuff. But what I would say is try and broaden that. So think about a lot of your social media audience is potentially not going to be at your event. So there's a couple of examples of tweets there, you know, from that the sort of examples I just gave about, you know, this seminar starting is at this time, which is really valuable. That's great. But maybe think about stuff like this as well, you know. So it's missed out on today's event. Check out the roundup on social media here, and that's great, particularly if you've got the sort of things we've talked about, video, blogs, and so on. So yeah, think about the people who aren't at your events with your social media strategies during your events as well. Number 9, revenue generation. This one's quite interesting, it's quite new. I haven't really got any solid examples, but I'm seeing lots more people exploring it. Basically around all these things we've talked about. So you're producing this content, video, blogs. It's achieving a lot of reach, a lot of people are seeing it. Once you start getting that reach, those sort of figures, there's an opportunity to then start looking at sponsorship. I'm not talking about selling tweets and handing over editorial control of your social media for cash. What I'm talking about is placing ads, pre-rollers at the start of videos. Obviously, to do that, you've got to achieve the reach and get there. But I'm seeing more and more people achieving those sort of reaches that are starting to warrant sponsorship packages and revenue generation opportunities starting to appear. And the final one is give it a try. Social media, all the things we talked about today, social media has changed our expectations of content. It used to be, from an event you would want to see a beautifully produced arty video. Again, it would be delivered 2 months after the event. Lovely high quality photography. And again, there's still a place for that. But social media's changed what people expect, what people are happy to receive. They're happy to receive little 2-minute videos from the event on Vine. They're happy for a couple of Instagram photos. They're happy for someone from the event team to put a blog together. So don't be too concerned about, oh, I'm a writer, I'm not a photographer, I'm not a videographer. Get out there, give it a try, use some of the apps, some of the ideas we talked about today. And that's it. Hopefully you found that useful, and there's a few ideas you can take away and think about back at your event companies. Thank you.